ICCM Conversations, singing side by side for mental health, developing evidence-based practice and resources for group singing leaders. Welcome all to today's event, and we have a brilliant interdisciplinary team joining us today from many different places to launch their new research project that's looking at singing and well-being, mental well-being. And it's really great to have such a large team join us today. They'll tell you more about the project and they will introduce themselves. I just wanted to start by saying thank you so much for joining us today and for leading on this event. But I'm not going to hold up any more because I know we've got a packed event with this wonderful team. So I think I'm handing over to Lewis, just that way on my screen, or is it to Michael?
Let's do Michael first.
To Michael. Michael, thank you very much. I'm handing over to you.
Thank you, Jo. Hello, everybody. Welcome to our first webinar. We're the Singing Side by Side for Mental Health team. And if you want to go and find us on Twitter, you will find that there is a lovely version of us singing part of the famous song Side by Side, and it's quite amusing. So please feel free to explore all the hashtags and things that you will have access to as a result of joining this session. The project has one main objective, which is to explore the experiences, needs and practices of singers and group singing leaders in a mental health context. So what we're going to be doing is trying to find out what's going on in choirs at the moment, how people are being made to feel welcome, particularly if people have mental health condition, and particularly if choir has been set up specifically for people with mental health conditions. And today, really, we're going to be looking at sort of spreading the word and giving you a bit of a warning about what we're hoping to do. The main thing you need to know about our project is that although it is a research project, the idea is to have a practical outcome, which is to develop a toolkit of resources for singing groups and their leaders. Now, we're hoping this will be an online accessible toolkit for everybody, and it will include resources that it becomes clear that people might actually want or need as a result of our research. So we're not going to sit in our armchairs and speculate about what singers and choir leaders might need. What we're going to do is find out what they feel they would need us to help with, and then we'll try to provide some resources for everybody to share. The overall aims really are to promote some inclusivity in group singing activities, and really the most important thing of all, I mean, I don't think before the pandemic, I don't think a month passed without us seeing something in the media about how wonderful singing in groups is for our health. And often mental health was highlighted as one of the benefits. Improved mental health is often highlighted as one of the benefits of singing in choirs and other kinds of ensembles. And really, one of the things we want to do is to help everybody involved to make the most of all these well-known well-being benefits of singing together. So today, sorry, should I introduce everybody first? These slides are coming up in the slightly different order to what I was expecting, actually, so sorry. So our team consists of all of these lovely people, and you'll get a chance to hear from all of us at some point or other today. The principal investigator is Dr. Ewan Irons, who is based at the University of Derby with Professor David Sheffield. And Ewan is leading on this project. She's made sure that we have everything we need to be able to complete this project. And there's me, I'm from the University of Sheffield. I'm a music psychologist as well as a choir leader. Elizabeth Tipp is based at the University of Edinburgh and specialises in clinical psychology. Lewis, as I think you've already met Lewis briefly, but Lewis is our main man for all the technical support, social media, helping us to do things like today smoothly. And Lewis runs something called Science Kaylee, which is a public engagement project to get people to enjoy and understand more about science and engage with it a little bit more. Sophie Boyd is from the University of Glasgow. Sophie's doing a PhD at the moment and also has experience of running choirs that are designed to enhance people's well-being in various ways. And Nicola, we have here that she's a freelance singing practitioner. Nicola's got many years of experience as a community music leader, and she's also just started a master's in performance science at the Royal College of Music. So she's coming into research in at the deep end really with us on this project. Next slide, please. Thank you, Lewis. So really today, today's session is not part of our research. It's not a formal part of our research, but we do want to let people know about it because we think it's so important that people can make the most of the benefits of singing together. And we think it's very important that choirs do feel inclusive for people with mental health conditions. The project's designed to be very collaborative. As you can see, we've got a large team, and we also want to collaborate with other partners who work in the areas of mental health and community music. So today is all about starting a consultative dialogue between us, singers from various sorts of choirs and other sorts of singing groups, and also group leaders, conductors and facilitators. We also want to start to build a collaborative network of researchers, singers and group leaders, and I'm sure that that will end up being part of our toolkit as well in the end, because obviously I think that from my own experience as a choir leader, sometimes we can feel quite isolated. You know, you're standing in front of the choir, you have the choir there, but actually your role within that organisation is quite unique. And I think also for the singers, I think to be able to keep in touch and find out probably which choirs are welcoming to people with mental health conditions, which choirs feel inclusive, and basically spreading the word about all the resources that we're hoping to put everybody in touch with. We also want to let everybody know how to take part in the project, because we're going to be looking for singers and leaders of groups singing to answer some questions for us before too long. If anybody's interested in this, please do let us know if you're interested in taking part in the research. We'll also try and make sure that we send some details out to people who've attended this session as well once we launch the first part of the research. So I hope that's really clear about what everybody's part is today. We're here really to find out your thoughts about your own experiences today, which will help us to start to take those into account as we're building the project. And I think that's probably all we need to know for the moment. Thank you very much.
Okay, so how are we going to get to know each other with a room full of 50 people? So what we're going to do is a very brief introduction exercise using the text box. And again, feel free to participate, or if you prefer not to, that's absolutely fine as well. But the first question I'd like to ask everyone in the room, I'll invite everyone to just say who you are. So you can tell us who you are, if you're a singer, where you are in the world, whatever you would like to share, but don't press send until I say. And what I'm going to do is I'll say the word waterfall in about a minute, and then I'll invite everyone to press send at the same time. And what that will mean is all our answers will crescend out into the virtual Zoom ether, and we'll just get a little sense of who's in the room. And we're not going to pick on any answers in particular, but just gives a little bit of a sense of who's in the room and whatever you would like to share. So the first question I'd like to invite you to answer in the text box is, who are you? See some frantic typing. Okay, whenever you're ready, Roger's off the mark, but waterfall, you can release into the ether. There we go. Okay, brilliant. A lot of diversity there. Lots of people from across the world, Ireland, Toronto, get a little bit of a sense of the geography, East Sussex, Derby, New Brighton. Fantastic. Well, you're very welcome. The second question is, maybe it's a bit of a mental check-in, actually. And again, please use this as a reflective opportunity or a mindful moment if you'd prefer to, and you don't have to share anything you're not comfortable with, but I just want you to check in with, how are you feeling at the moment? One of my favorite, if you prefer to do it via an animal, you're very welcome to, i.e. if your feelings were an animal at the moment, what animal would that be? And again, if you prefer not to share, that's absolutely fine. And I'll let everyone give a moment and then we can press send now. How are you feeling? We have lots of different responses. Lots of different animals as well, calm, but we have some anxious, a lot on the plate, a lot of busy, burnt out. Absolutely. Good. Spent some time with actual students today, which is great. Fantastic. What's really important is just acknowledging there's lots of different emotions in the room and they're all valid. And as I said, obviously we're talking about some sensitive issues and we have choir members who will be talking a little bit from lived experience and choir leaders. And of course that is integral to the conversation. So again, please take the time you need. All those feelings are incredibly valid and we want to be respectful for them and don't feel like you need to be put on the spot or share or perform any of those things, but do feel welcome. The last question I'll ask in this manner is perhaps just a musical one, actually. We're all singers or singing leaders. So what's one of your favorite songs at the moment that you like to sing? This could be one that makes you feel happy. It could be something that you enjoy. It could be a bit of a recommendation for others. What's a song that you're really enjoying at the moment? And you can release. Okay, excellent. Bring Me Sunshine, Bob Dylan, Weightless, We Need Light, The Prayer. Fantastic, lots of options. Maybe during our screen break, we'll pick one of these. Moana, How Far I'll Go. I'm not going to lie, I'm pretty obsessed with Moana's soundtrack. It's a delightful time in my life. Fantastic. Okay, brilliant. No, thank you for that. So many, says Carol. Of course, the beginning of Christmas as well. Fantastic. Well, I'll have a flick through those and hopefully you might pick up a recommendation. Now, the last thing we're going to do together like this before we learn a little bit more about the research, we're going to hear from the Communitas Choir and then hear a bit about the research, is I'm going to share a Mentimeter. So again, this is another tool. And this is an anonymous, let me just see if I can bring up the link. Too many different tabs going on at the moment. Side by side. So I've posted the link onto your onto the text box, and that should generate a new window. And hopefully the first question is I feel, and we've just got a few different statements there. Let me know if anyone's having any troubles with that. Just give us a message. And the first question, we just wanted a bit of a read, actually, of the room. And this is anonymous. And again, you don't have to feel like you need to answer. But the first question is asking, how do you feel in terms of can singing in choirs positively affect your mental health? And importantly, can it negatively affect your mental health? So you've got a Likert scale from strongly disagree to strongly agree. We've got a question around that currently are choirs inclusive to people with diverse mental health experiences. So that's a kind of a read of the moment and obviously just your opinion. And then I guess a more general question for the futures, they can be inclusive for people with diverse mental health experiences. Thanks. Yeah, there's a link that's just there now. Again, thanks, David. Okay, interesting. So I'm just going to share my screen just to show up the results, which come up live. They're still coming in live, but it gives a little bit of a read of the room and what people feel. So we are definitely singing to the converted, preaching to the converted. So singing in choirs can positively affect personal mental health. And fewer, but still some people agreeing that it can negatively affect mental health. And we've got about just above average kind of a choirs as a whole inclusive at the moment, and a very optimistic they can be, which is I suppose what's motivating our project. So thank you for that. And the final question, which will build up hopefully a bit of a word map, if I can do that, is what do or can choirs which are inclusive to those with mental health conditions mean to you personally? So of course, again, you're joining us this afternoon and hopefully keeping in touch with our research project. But this is a bit of quite a lateral question, but we're asking for 3 keywords, I guess, and you can in fact submit more than that. But what does a choir that is inclusive to mental health conditions and experiences mean to you personally? What kind of words does that bring up for you? We'll build up a word map with those answers. Interesting. So you can see it change in real time. Community coming up as one of the strongest there. Supportive, support, friendship, help. It's really interesting. Diversity. A lot of keywords, very much growing. You can submit more than once if you'd like to, but there's lots in there. And I think it'll take us a little bit of time to unpack that, but we'll certainly send a copy of this to Joe as well, so we can email this out to everybody and maybe put it on the website. But these are some really, really valuable words and experiences there that are being conveyed. So hopefully something we can unpick in the breakouts as we go further. Okay, I'm going to stop sharing for now, but as I said, we'll be sure to share a copy of that afterwards and post it on social media as well, just to kind of center our conversations. Amazing. Well, thank you so much for that. What we're going to do now, and hopefully we're a little bit behind, but that's okay, is we've got some guests. So Michael has members of the Communitas Choir who are going to share a little bit of their experiences around this. Oh, take it away, Michael. You're on mute.
That's it, I'm back. Hello. Yes, I've invited some people from the Converge project at York St John University. Converge runs a wide range of creative activities for people with lived experience of mental health conditions, and the Communitas Choir is part of that. So I've invited one of the leaders, who I hope is here. Are you there, Esther? We got Esther here today. I don't think she's arrived. I also, though, I think I should have 3 members of the Communitas choir who are happy to just tell us a little bit about their experience of the choir. So in the absence of Esther, I think I've probably told you enough about the choir. It has been in existence, though, for I think 10 years, over 10 years. And I've visited it a number of times and had the best fun of my life, actually, in terms of singing. And I can quite see what the singers get out of this, but I thought that maybe you might like to hear for yourselves from some of the singers. So I think, how many, could you just, I think I've got 2 singers here already. So, okay, Phil's one of them. Hi, Phil. And I think I had somebody else as well. Did I have Ben around as well today? Hello, there's Ben. And I think I was going to have somebody called Brenda as well around today, but I don't know if she's, are you around, Brenda? Okay, message me or something if you are around. I'd just like to start with really talking to Phil and Ben a little bit about the Communitas Choir, and if one of you would like to start off by just talking about what you get out of singing with Communitas Choir that you might not get from somewhere else. Don't forget to unmute, by the way. I can see Ben's trying to unmute. Are you coming?
Hi there.
Hi, Ben. Thank you for coming along today and for joining us. So how long have you been in Communitas?
Just under a year now. It was
A year.
January.
And what do you think of it? What do you think of it so far, Ben?
It's been really brilliant. I was very much. I struggle with sort of social issues, social anxiety, and it just sort of helps. It helps put me in with other people.
Yes.
It's nice mixing. It's really sort of quite warm environment, and even though we're on Zoom at the moment, we sort of do a great job of sort of keeping everyone together.
Yes. I was going to ask about that because presumably you didn't have many rehearsals before we went into lockdown, did you? So did you have a chance to get to know people a bit before you started doing the online sessions?
Yeah, a little bit. I was just starting to open myself up a bit and getting into it.
Yes.
Which shame with lockdown and everything, because we sort of had to go into Zoom. But
yes, but you've got a feel for how it works now, haven't you? You know, for when we eventually come out of this. And have you managed to kind of keep singing through the Zoom sessions, or has it mostly been a social kind of get together?
No, keep singing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Excellent.
It's a bit weird because you can't hear everybody else, but you sort of get used to it. Usually have headphones in, so it's sort of it helps, I suppose, drown myself out a bit.
Absolutely. Phil, do you want to just kind of give us your perspective on this as well for the moment?
For me, singing is just something I've done since I was, because I've been at choir now for nearly coming up 5 years now.
Yes.
Somewhere around that time. And singing for me was just something I wanted to do because before I was when my dad was little, and this is going back way into his dark ages, unfortunately passed away, but my dad was in a choir. And I've always said to myself, I said, I'm going to follow in my dad's footsteps and become such a good, want to do something to help myself and to try and pass the word around to other people and say, get into singing because it's good for you.
Yes.
And that's what I'm trying to do. And that's what I'm trying to get other people to do by me being in choir and helping, not myself, but other people that are like, oh, I'm really struggling with anxiety. Well, there's things you can do. Why don't you just sing? You can sing, it helps you. And if it doesn't help them, then, at least they've got that option that,
yes,
and that's what they want. You know what I mean? But
that's good. So Phil, how do you think it's helped you being in Communitas, compared with other things that you've perhaps tried, other activities?
It just helps me with confidence because I struggle with a little bit like with Ben. I was struggling with social anxiety, meeting new people like yourself, Michael, and other people as well. And it's just helps me out with confidence because when I first joined, I didn't know anybody, and I was so scared. I'm like, who am I gonna? How are people gonna react to me when they hear me sing?
Right.
And what have you? And it was kind of one of those things. I'm like, I don't know how I'm gonna. I don't know what people are gonna think. They might look at me thinking, he's got a good voice. He's better than us. You know what I mean? And then I was like, yeah, okay. And then it's just basically just built my confidence up, and not only that, but I've made some wonderful friends there as well, and that's for me is more important than it's confidence, friendships, and just being part of something, just being part of a group.
Yes.
And that's what I feel. That's how it's helped me out because I'm now broadening my experiences a lot further than just being in my own little world.
So it sounds, Bill, obviously your main motivation is because you love singing, but also you've got a lot of other things out of it as well, haven't you?
Yeah.
Socially. So what's been your favourite thing about singing in the Communitas choir?
Oh, the most favourite thing about being part of the community choir is just getting to know people, helping them out best I can, try and pass on my experiences of when I first joined to when newcomers come into our choir, because we get new members of the choir every year, and I just hope, I just pass on my experiences to them just to help them and reassure them that they can say, oh, I'm going to enjoy this tonight. And you're like, yeah, but if you do if you do feel that you can't do anything or you're struggling, just come and speak to me, because then I will help you a little bit further. I'll help you progress into building up your confidence and stuff like that. So basically, just building friendships for me.
Yeah. So you end up in a position to offer support as well as receive it, which is really, really excellent, isn't it? That's brilliant, Phil. Thank you so much. Ben, can I just check in with you as well? I mean, what's your favourite thing about singing with the community choir so far?
I suppose it's just the involvement. I really like the involvement. People sort of coming together, learning a song. Like one thing I find a lot of sessions, I'll go into it and I'll be kind of like in myself quite a lot, and then I'll find by the end of it I've opened up a lot, and it really uplifts your mood. It can be quite hard to sort of push yourself to get into it, but once you're into it, it's really like you end up feeling a lot happier, a lot closer to other people, and a lot of sort of what Phil said.
That's brilliant. I mean, the thing is, both of you have kind of talked about feeling as if you belong there and that you've got a sense of community. And I'd just like to finish by checking with both of you, really. Can you kind of put your finger on one or two things that might have helped you to kind of build that sense of community with this particular choir? Is there somebody particular who's kind of contributed to that, or is it part of how the choir is being run that helps you to feel like you're part of something bigger and that you can really enjoy that? Do you want to go first, Ben? Because I know you've got to dash off, haven't you?
Well, for me, sorry, Ben. For me, it's just the way the choir's been run. It's just got that. For me, it's just got that structure to it, and just going, this is what we're going to do today. It's not like a case of people, for me, turning up and going, am I in the right room? It's just a case of, but we'll welcome anybody.
Yes.
So it's just the way it's been run, and that's the way it's helping me out. I don't know if it's the same for you, Ben. The way that the choir's been structured to everybody. That's if he's there.
Do you agree with that, Ben? Yes.
I completely agree with Phil. I completely agree with Phil. I think everyone's generally really warm and welcoming, and that helps a lot, especially when you can sort of feel a bit outside of everything, and you're sort of coming into a space that's quite warm. And as well, the way it's run, and with Chris and everything, it's just not all too serious. It's a lot of fun.
Chris is your choir leader, isn't he?
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. Do you know what? That's brilliant. Thank you so much, Ben and Phil, because that's given us so many things to think about just in that very, very short conversation. And thank you ever so much for sharing all that with us. That's brilliant. Thank you.
Michael, can I just add, thank you, Ben, and thank you so much, Phil.
No worries.
Well, nice to see you. We've got Annabelle Parish in the chat, who's mentioned that she's also on the call and joins Converge and might like to say hello. So is it okay if they unmute for a moment?
Yes. Do you know what? I was hoping, I can't see everybody who's here, and I was really hoping that Annabelle would be here. So where are you, Annabelle? Hello. Hi. Yeah, Annabelle. So would you like to just tell us, I'm really interested in hearing a little bit from you about your role within the choir and how you got involved.
Well, within second year, because I'm a music student at York St John, and in second year we have an education and community module which is split across the whole of second year, which I did the education part in first semester, which part of that module is that you do a placement, and I took part in something through uni which is the prison partnership, but I also joined Communitas to go in and join to do that as a placement as well. But for me at the time, I didn't feel like it was right for me to do it as a placement, so I continued going just as a student volunteer. So I've really got the experience of being a singer in there last year, and then they asked me over summer if I'd like to be if I'd like to apply to be the student co-leader for the choir during this academic year.
Brilliant. Annabelle, can you just tell us a little bit of something about how you think Communitas might be different from other choirs? Because that might be a very sort of significant question in people's minds.
That is a tough question, but I think the whole sense of the choir is it's about its community and it's about its members of Communitas. From the moment you get into that room, everybody is beaming, whether they've had an awful week or whether they've had an amazing week. There's such a sense of community, and unfortunately this last academic year, somebody who was a former member of the choir there passed away, and the whole community came together and we sang songs to think about him, but also we have a social tea break within there. So before the choir members come in, the room gets set up in a way so everybody can see each other, and everybody has a bit of a catch up. We then do some really fun, energetic vocal warm-ups, and student members who come in and do it for placement can do warm-ups and lead songs and things like that. But Chris and Esther are the main sort of leadership team. But the whole point of it is that it's the community aspect. So we have a break about halfway through, because it's normally, I think it's 5:45 until about 7:15. Right. So about halfway through, we'll have a break, which everybody gets a cup of tea and a biscuit, and you just have a catch up, which the social aspect is the bit that everybody really loves of the choir.
Excellent. And I'll ask you a similar question to the question that I finished off with for Phil and Ben. What do you enjoy most about working with Communitas?
It's getting to know everybody in there. Everybody's got their own story, and everybody comes in and everybody's a different character, and they help you as a musician develop, because you see everybody's different skills and you see what everybody enjoys, and you look at it, specifically doing it through Zoom at the moment as well, because I did it when we were in person as well last year. You just learn a load of new skills doing a choir this way, I think, because it's all about the music. This one it's all about making sure everybody's well-being and their mental health is first.
That's a brilliant summary. Thank you very much indeed, Annabelle. So we've kind of heard how Communitas is run, and we've heard how it's perceived from the people who sing with the choir. I think that's really, really informative. So thank you very much, everybody, for that. That's lovely. Thank you.
I was going to say, in fact, perhaps in that spirit, maybe we can all give a very visual clap for Ben, Phil, and Annabelle. Thank you so much for sharing that. So what we're going to do before we have a little bit of a screen break and a breakout is just to give you a little bit more detail about the research project and how we're hoping to take this really vital lived experience and build some inclusive practice and research on that. So I'm going to invite you, and I'm going to share my screen again. And we'll go through this in terms of the background, but Yoon, here we go. There's a bit of the background.
Hello everyone, I think this is David's bit.
Hello, I thought you were going to do it. Hi everyone, I'm David Sheffield from the University of Derby. It's still slightly confusing to me, Derby and Sheffield. But just wanted to say a little bit about March, which is a series, it's a network of projects funded by the UK Research and Innovation, and they are funding 8 different areas looking at community, social and cultural assets that can be promoting and mental health and preventing mental health difficulties. And we are very fortunate and thankful that March decided to fund us. We're the only project that's focusing on singing. So that's who we are. Do you want to say the next bit, or shall I? So as you can see, what we're hoping to do through kind of consultation is to create, co-design programs for individuals with mental health illnesses and mental health difficulties. And we're interested in considering what factors determine the usefulness of community assets. So as I said, our focus is on singing. So I'll let Yoon say a little bit more about the specifics of our project. Thank you.
Thank you very much, David. And hello to everyone. And wonderful to see you. And it's a great opportunity to meet you through this event. So as you heard a little bit about our project, we are looking at how to promote better mental health through community singing groups. So the choir singing leaders as well as choir singers are the important stakeholders that we want to work with doing this project. So thank you for being here today. Really, through this project, we want to look after our choir leaders and the choir singers, their mental health as well. We want to know more about what is the best practice for community choirs, including people with mental health difficulties. And we want to explore what kind of skills and knowledge that choir leader should have when working with people with mental health difficulties. So for sure, that wasn't my phone. Okay. So in essence, that's what we're trying to do. And so far, I know choir leaders are very passionate about singing, so they start a community group. But so far, it seems that there isn't much support out there. So we want to provide appropriate support for them. So do keep in touch with us, and we are on Twitters and email, and our website is also up and running now. So it will be great to work with you. Thank you.
Brilliant, thank you very much. We're just going to go very quickly over a project plan and introduce a few of the other team members as well. So I think we start off with Sophie.
Great to be here. So I'm going to tell you a bit about our literature review that we're doing to really underpin our research. It's really important that all research starts with a literature review so that we can understand what literature is already out there, what we can learn from it, and how our research fits into this existing literature. So what we're doing is called a systematic literature review, which is a literature review that uses repeatable analytical methods to collect secondary data and analyze it. So really objectively and thoroughly exploring the publications that are out there in order to learn from and inform our study. The secondary data that we're looking for is around group singing leadership and mental health. And we're looking for this data in literature that we found by searching databases. So these databases containing all kinds of literature across many fields and disciplines, such as education, psychology, the social sciences, a really broad spectrum. In order for our systematic review to be repeatable, objective, we had to develop a protocol, so sort of map through our search process in order to come up with search terms that we could use in our databases as keywords. And we were doing this in order to answer 2 review questions. And these were looking at what do we already know about the core skills and knowledges required by community practitioners and organizations? And what does the literature say about how to co-design and deliver suitable and effective singing and choir programs for individuals living with mental illness? So we really hope doing these searches will help us answer these questions. And that's the real objective of doing this research, for doing this review even. And we want this review to assess the current state of research and practice in community singing with individuals with mental health, and to really gather and analyse this research and practice to evidence the role of practitioners and how we might co-design community singing with mental health service users. At the moment, we're starting the process of pulling all the data out of the papers that we've found, compiling it all from all our databases to really delve into what's out there. We'll be aiming to then make a publication from this, at least one publication, and this will really help underpin going forward how we frame the rest of our research, which I think brings us on to the next block in our project plan.
Yep, Sophie, it's Elizabeth next about the online survey.
Let me first start with putting our website and Twitter in the text box if people would want to leave early. Because as you can see, this is a very rigorous project that we try to do. And yeah, we really would love everybody's input. So even if you can't make it today, please keep an eye on that. I'll introduce myself first briefly. My name is Lisbeth Tip. I'm a clinical psychologist. I work at the University of Edinburgh at the School of Health and Social Science. And as you see from what I do, I'm not working in music, but I did start a research project a couple of years ago in 2016 that was meant to normalize mental health by bringing people from different mental health backgrounds together in a choir. And so when Yoon asked me to be involved in this project, I immediately said yes, because I've seen how it can benefit people to sing in a choir together. And I'm sure you all must have, even if you're not a singer yourself, must have an interest in it when you're attending this webinar. But I always say everybody has mental health, so we really would value your input. And just like the systematic review that Sophie discussed, will help us give information to base the toolkit on for choir leaders, for choirs for people from different mental health backgrounds, to make it accessible for everybody and suitable, so also the choir leaders have some support. And so the next step is the survey. So like the systematic review, we will have a couple of group breakout discussions today where we would like to pick your brains and ask you about what we should put in that survey that we're going to send out to choir leaders and singers. And I will give you some examples. Let me just quickly change my screen. We have been brainstorming, and questions we've come up with is, for example, for choir leaders, do you adapt your practice for working with mental health participants? And other questions are maybe for choir members, would you like, this is for choir leaders, would you like additional support, training, or resources? How do you make sure that everybody feels included? If the choir is run by a committee, how well informed are they about mental health issues? What factors of choir practice could potentially have a negative effect on mental health or positive effect on mental health, and how can you reach that? So it's just for you to get an idea, because we really would like to hear from people that are in a choir or singing in a choir, when we put out a survey, that they will help us define those questions. And usually there's a lot of knowledge and common sense available, but we really would want to have, when you start to see patterns in the information you get, then and that's why research is so important, that you can really demonstrate that certain things are good to do and other things might not be so good to do. And we really would love to hear from you what we should ask people, the singers and the choir leaders. I hope that makes sense. It's kind of a stepped plan with a systematic review, what has been done, what information is out there that actually can help choir leaders lead an inclusive choir for people from different mental health backgrounds. And also, the information from today, what should we ask? And then later we will ask people, and then we will gather all that data. We will, as you see, we share our start of the research project already, and this is not even the first session. We already had a session with a couple of choir leaders and singers, also to help develop questions for today. So as in the chat box, you can keep an eye out on the website and on Twitter, where we will keep informing you and everybody else about the progress and the processes of our research. And we will share the toolkit later. And we do just hope that we can make choir a very safe and accepting and connecting and friendship, etc., environment that was on the slides just before. We really hope to contribute to that, and we hope you will want to help us out with that. So thanks in advance.
Thanks, Elizabeth. We'll just talk very briefly on the consensus building, on the guidelines, Yoon.
Yeah, very briefly. Thank you, Elizabeth and Sophie, explaining our steps involved in our project. Okay, so based on the findings from our systematic literature review and online survey, and working with a panel of specialists or panel of experts, we would like to develop consensus on guidelines for community group singing with mental health with people with mental health difficulties, or specific choir groups, singing groups inclusively for mental health. So that's
great. Thank you very much, Yoon. And then just to finish this off, and then we'll have a bit of a screen break before we go out into breakouts. So of course, part of this is a kind of a pilot and a big scoping, and we're really, as Elizabeth mentioned, want to make sure that this is reflected in practice. So for us in Science Ceilidh, as the public and community engagement specialists, we'll be taking a lot of that learning and developing that into a first set of toolkits. So thinking about what choir leaders and singers might need as tools to make that happen, perhaps potentially more reflective, and hopefully that'll be guided completely by the survey outputs. But of course, we want to make sure that this is tested in the communities as well. So this is only the first iteration in February that we'll develop, and then we'll be looking for a few, it's not many, but we'll be looking for a few different choirs to test these out and developing a bit of a community of practice, and also doing kind of participatory action research with these choirs to kind of put these tools into practice and see what works. What's a really important aspect of this is that we're also going to be filming and recording some resources with the choir leaders and with the mental health singers with mental health experiences themselves. So it's really important that it's nothing about us without us. And so we want to make sure we're embedding that key voice within our toolkits as well. So that's one thing that if you're listening and there's something of interest, please do keep in touch, because we will be looking for choirs that are representative across the country. Someone's already mentioned about more ethnically diverse and choirs that might be underrepresented. So that's absolutely the types of choirs that we'd be trying to look for. So do keep in touch and let us know. And then, of course, we'll finalize the toolkits and do a write-up and hopefully be able to build this into a bit bigger project in the future.
So as my colleagues have quite eloquently said, we want this to be a consultative kind of process. So Michael used the term consultative dialogue, Sophia said co-design, and Elspeth, I think, summed it up completely brilliantly when she said picking your brains. So this is the time where we're going to put you into breakout rooms, as we said, and ask the question, how can we ensure choirs are more inclusive for people with mental health conditions? Or another way maybe of thinking about it, so what are your experiences of choirs around mental health conditions and issues? So we've divided you into two. I know some people are within both camps, as in some people are both within the singers and the choir leaders. So you can kind of maybe answer the question in two different ways. Some of you are definitely singers, some of you are definitely choir leaders. I know some people are not necessarily going to go into the breakout rooms, so it's a very individual moment. But if you are a singer, you might want to think about What would help you help ensure that your choirs are more inclusive for you? What could a choir do that maybe isn't particularly a specific mental health choir, but what could a choir do to help you? Because not all choirs are going to be absolutely for mental health, but as I think Elspeth put in the chat earlier, that we've all got mental health issues. We all have mental health. Mental health isn't necessarily a bad thing. And the same with choir leaders. You know, what resources and support would you need? Not necessarily to run a specific mental health choir. It might be, or just to run your choir. How can you accommodate people who have got mental health issues? And again, that's a very, very big term, and maybe that's something that might want to start off the breakout room discussion. So we're here to pick your ideas. We're here to have some input, some lived in experience, some ideas that you've had. So I'm going to hand over to Lewis, because he's our technical man. I think Michael described him as that, to give you a little bit more info about how this is going to work.
Perfect. And yes, absolutely. So as I said, Joe's going to open the rooms, and you've all been assigned now based on choir leader, singers. I think there's one mixed group and a few people who are unassigned. Again, if you prefer not to, there's other options. If you stay in the main room, we'll find different ways for you to feed in. And we're going to be using the Padlet a little bit afterwards as well. So do make sure that you share the space, the facilities there to help try and make sure navigate that and make sure everyone has an opportunity to speak. But Joe, if you'd like to open the rooms, that would be fantastic.
Yeah, opening the rooms now.
Thank you. See you on the other side. Thank you all. That should be everyone back into the main room now. Fantastic. And I'm sure your conversations were too short. And what we're going to do now, to try and capture a little bit of that and give a little bit of a space for reflective practice and just reflection in general, is we're going to, rather than asking each group to feedback verbally, which will probably take too much time and only have a few voices, is we're going to use this collective document which Joe had emailed beforehand, and it is a tool called Padlet. So if a few of you already started, you can press click and you can add on to titles. And as I said, I'm going to stop speaking and give everyone 4 minutes just to write down as much as you like. And then I'm going to give everyone a further 3 minutes to just read other people's answers. And you can also like or dislike, commiserate, and also add comments as well. So I'll be quiet now and give you 4 minutes to reflect and write. Thank you. And as I said, we'll keep that Padlet open. So if there's more thoughts that you've got after the fact, and I think for any questions, we'll make sure the team keeps this relatively updated as well. But thank you for that. There's some really, really interesting insights and really valuable insights for the team. I'm sure I'll speak on behalf of the team. Just before we finish, is there any direct, maybe immediate, what we can probably take one immediate question before I go to Yoon to talk, remind us one more time what the next steps are in terms of the project and what we're going to use this information for. Any immediate questions? Nope, that is absolutely all right. Some really good points around inclusivity and on the choir I noticed. And actually some choirs that I know have a befriending buddy, which I always thought was a really good practice. This kind of like someone that who will just if you're new, will come up and say hello and introduce you and kind of meet you at the door type thing, which I always thought was an interesting and really friendly practice. Yoon, I'll invite you perhaps to maybe talk about the next steps, maybe just remind us again how we're going to invite people to take part in the survey.
Thank you, Lewis, and thanks everyone. Okay, this is wonderful to hear from you all. So thank you for all your thoughts and sharing your comments. But we will ensure that we'll reflect on your voices, on your thoughts, and we'll develop our research further. So next step is our online survey. It's almost ready. So we'll be in touch with you to ask you to fill out our online survey you can expect in a couple of weeks to hear from us. Okay, yeah, and it will be lovely to get more insights from all of you and your experiences. Thank you.
And just to, again, one more time, if you wanted to connect with us, we've got a new, brand spanking new website, which has just launched last week. So Singing Side by Side, where we're going to be putting up some extra resources, obviously any future events and the survey. And of course, if there are people who you think we should be speaking to in choirs, please do spread the word and put them in our way as well. And our email is there and you can contact us that way. And I'll leave it to Michael just to close off the meeting.
Hi everybody. My main thanks today must go to Joe and the ICCM team. Thank you so much for helping us to arrange this session and for hosting the webinar and for making sure that it goes totally free of technical difficulties as far as I can see, which is great. I expect everybody's had a similar experience, but it's been very smooth. So thank you very much indeed. Also, thank you to everybody who attended and also for sharing your thoughts with us. And do keep in touch. Lewis has just let you know how to find our website, and you can also keep up with us with our hashtags. And when the surveys launch, we'll try and let everybody know as soon as we can. And please continue to contribute to the project, because the important thing is we really do want it to be sharing. We want it to be a collaborative, consultative project so that we can come up with some really good resources at the end of it that are going to be very useful to everyone, whether they're choir leaders or singers. So many thanks to everybody.
Thank you so much to you, Michael, Lewis, Yoon, and the team for today's brilliant event. As you say, sharing, it's just so wonderful to have so much signposting. You've got your website to share and the Twitter, and we've had people posting in the chat connections about their singing groups, and it's just really lovely to have this space where we can share and discuss and explore in that way. So thank you so much. Can we just unmute and give a big round of applause to this project team to finish us off with this? For a while. Lovely, thank you so much. And before I close the call, thank you, Michael, thank you, Lewis and Yoon. I just want to mention, you'll see a few things that the wonderful Ruth Curry has popped in the chat for us. If you're interested in upcoming ICCM events, our next event is next Thursday, the 3rd of December. I'll be presenting at it. So you'll hear me talk a little around researcher positionality and critical reflection in community music practice. If you would like to contribute to an event like this event today, Michael approached me and the team, ICCM Conversations, and said they'd like to use the space, then you can look at our call for contributions, ignore the date, we'll welcome more contributions until the end of January, and you can email me if you are interested. And then finally, if you can't attend our events, do go to our YouTube channel, and you might also want to sign up to our mailing list for future news about publications, events and other ICCM connected activity. But thank you to all of the team that make this possible, and thank you to this brilliant interdisciplinary research team that have joined us today. We hope that we've sparked some connections that can continue forward. So thank you, everyone. I will share this recording soon, and I think that's okay. If you're a member of the research team or ICCM and you want to stay on for a moment, hang back. If not, go off and enjoy the rest of your afternoon. Bye, everyone. Thank you so much.
Bye.
See you.